it still is, isn't it? Is that still, I think we're sort of still well ahead. Obviously Germany is by far the largest producer. Historically it's been really important in Australia. I think in 1988 there was about 30,000 tonnes produced when we did 20-odd thousand tonnes of Chardonnay. But of course now, I don't know the amount, but it'd probably be say 50,000 tonnes, but of course Chardonnay and Shiraz are more like 400,000 or 500,000. So relatively speaking, there's about one bottle of Riesling made for every 10 of the others. But it's still a very important variety in Australia. Now obviously the reason that changed is that Mr. Boom on red and Chardonnay was being planted. There wasn't much Riesling being planted. There are some good sites. We've actually got some incredibly good material. We've got some pre-phylloxera material in Australia. We've got some very good clones, and a lot of those vineyards, in fact most of the vineyards that we'd be looking at are on their own roofs. Australian Riesling, I think relatively speaking, that's as far as Riesling goes, has been pretty successful here and internationally. To me, there are three main reasons. There's a trend, obviously, of drinking wine with food, and Riesling with fresh seafood or fresh produce that Australia does so well works really well. Second, which I think is an important point, Australian dry Riesling is understood as a style. The level of understanding, I think, is helped greatly by the removal of the misuse of the word Riesling in Australia. I might touch on that later, but we're alone in that. The misuse of the word, which hasn't helped in the past. The third point, I think, is that there's a better appreciation of the variety by winemakers as well as consumers, both in Australia and I think increasingly so overseas, and a greater acknowledgement of the importance of the place it's grown, that is the site, and certainly the region within the variety. So this quote from Jancis, I think, holds the key to the international success of Australian Riesling. She talks about the ability to transmit the characteristics of a vineyard without losing the variety's own inimitable style. And I think it's something that's implied, that it's something that's not shared by many varieties, at least not to the same extent as Riesling.